Welcome to the Close the Chapter podcast. I am Kristen Boyce, a licensed marriage and family therapist with a private practice, Pathways to Healing Counseling. Through conversations, education, strategies, and shared stories, we will be closing the chapter on all the thoughts, feelings, people, and circumstances that don't serve you anymore and open the door to possibilities and the real you. You won't want to miss an episode, so be sure to subscribe. Welcome to this week's Close the Chapter podcast. You made it. You arrived. You tuned into this episode for a reason. It's an episode I normally don't do too much of because we can say it's a little different. Here's what I want to say about every episode I do. I like to learn, grow, and evolve. I highly encourage you to open your heart, open your mind, and whenever you're listening to anything, whether it's my podcast or another podcast, take what resonates and discard the rest. I like just different perspectives. I want everyone to step out of black and white thinking and into more of the and both. Because two things can be true at once. I can have my thoughts and feelings and opinions, and you can have yours. And that is true. We don't have to have the exact same opinions. And that's the same with anybody I interview or anyone I talk to. I love it. I'm like, you are expanding other thoughts and opinions. And I hope this podcast really encourages you to do the same. Can you hold space for two things to be true at once? When you're talking to someone, maybe they have a different thought or opinion, and that can be true for them. And you can have a thought and opinion. One of the things I see when I work with clients in therapy is they get more out of the black and white thinking. And I'm going to do a whole episode on that because it is one of the most important areas of growth for people. Because as children, right, wrong, good, bad, black, white that thinking keeps us safe because we know the rules. And two things can be true. Rules can be helpful. And then when we get too rigid with it, it can be a disservice and create disconnection and unhealth. So having said that, I want to kind of expand your way of thinking. And I was sent what's called a love tuner. It's a little bit like a breathing device. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I hadn't been sent a product like this before. So I wanted to talk to the founder and get more information. Like, what is this? How did you develop it? What is the intention for it? And some of it could sound like, what is he talking about? I try to get clarification so we can really understand the purpose of why he created this. So Sigmar Berg is an entrepreneur, artist, photographer, and fashion designer. Berg has spent his life seeking to bring wellness and balance to the world through art, design, and conscious consumerism. And I love that term, conscious consumerism. We overconsume things. We are overbuying things. And I think that is such an important term, which brings him to his most exciting venture yet, the Love Tuner. After years of seeking, learning, researching, and gathering knowledge from all fields of life and from all over the world, Sigmar is impassioned to introduce a Love Tuner to the world. We are living in a time of great chaos, division, and instability, but also one which has created an incredible opportunity for change. His altruistic mission is to bring healing and love to the world. And he says the Love Tuner brings the ancient art of sound healing to today's world through an easily accessible mindfulness tool. Through his new and transformational tool, he hopes to heal the world through spiritual and physical attunement, mindfulness, and a step path to renewal and growth for every human. We break down his journey, what inspired him, kind of the connection to spirituality, and what sound and breath can do in terms of healing. And I really hope this episode expands your heart, gets you out of your head and into your heart to be your more authentic self. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. Welcome to the Close the Chapter podcast. I'm really excited about my guest today. I got a preview and was sent the Love Tuner, which we're going to unpack a little bit more detail ahead of time. So I've been practicing it. You know how much I talk about the breath and how important it is to connect to our mind, body, and soul and really help us move through the tension and tightness in our body and delayer some of the conditioning we've received. So I'm so excited, Sigmar. Welcome you to the Close the Chapter podcast.
Kristen, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to a nice conversation.
Tell the audience about yourself and then how you started on this journey of self-discovery and then developing a product, the Love Tuner, to really signify how to help others do the same.
So, my background is I was actually a trained architect. And at one point on accident, I ended up running a fashion company. And then I started a new company. So I was very into fashion and design. But my longing for a long time was to really change the world. And as much as I could do in fashion, like being aware of, we manufactured everything in the US. We even had a slogan, worn by good people, handcrafted by good people in the US. So this was kind of a thing, but it's like, that's minimal. So, and I wanted to just achieve a big impact. I started meditating shortly after I relocated to California, like nearly 20 years ago. And on this journey, I got introduced to the 528 hertz frequency. And fast forward, that's the product. What we're talking about is called a Love Tuner. And it's basically a single tone flute, what is calibrated to 528 hertz. And it's understood the DNA repair frequency, the love frequency. And in former days, it was actually our regular C note on a musical scale. And for whatever, which manipulation, it disappeared. But the knowledge came back about this frequency. And the beauty of it, it's not a man-made frequency. So it's a divine frequency. It's a cosmic frequency. And it's the most prominent healing frequency on the so-called solfeggio tone scale, what are all different chakra-related healing frequencies. And what I basically did is I combined breath work with this frequency. So when you do a conscious breathing break through this tool, you connect to this frequency, you make a low audible tone, you extend your exhale, the tuner gives you a feedback on your exhale, and then you do a couple of cycles. And what we found out very early is that it literally, and I don't want to say this because everybody gets kind of offended when you say cut your meditation short, because obviously that's the last thing we want to recommend people, but it literally does it. So it's a super easy way to learn how to meditate because there's nothing to be learned. It's not, you don't go to a seminar, you don't learn a mantra. This is all the difference. It's literally sitting down, using this tool, getting in this breath work, and boom, you're in the state of meditation. And we even measured this with brain waves. So we had 20 people meditating. We took a bioresonance feedback scan of the brain, and we did the same thing with 20 people using the Love Tuner. Same results. The only difference was that meditation was about 20 minutes, and the tuning, depending on the exhale of people, was between 5 and 7 minutes. So it literally cut it into a third with the same results. And the interesting thing is you don't need any spiritual practice. So you don't have to, be knowledgeable. You just do it because it's a physical thing. It's not only a spiritual thing. Yes, the frequency is spiritual, but it also does something physically in your body. And this is why there's no escape from meditation when you use this tool correctly.
Okay, so let's talk about why you even discovered this. Like, you were doing clothing. How did you even decide, frequency and the C note, and how does this even come about?
Believe me or not, when I discovered this frequency, I had no clue. So I did not know about the C note. I did not know about solfeggio frequencies. The only thing what I knew is I did a guided breathwork meditation with this tone, and not like from a computer, but really from a speaker. It was the original tone. And this was the most profound meditation I had back in the days. And then I said, like, oh, there's something really magic to it. And then this was actually the core idea. You can imagine we started like over 10 years ago developing the stuff. And then we did a lot of foundation work. We went into school. So we literally experienced everything that we know now by doing it. There was no guideline back then where you go like, oh, breath work was always around, but it was not a big thing. Now breath work is everywhere. Ice baths is everywhere. Sound baths is everywhere. But when we started, there was a little knowledge about it. I mean, some people have been doing it, but the mainstream had no idea about it. And for me, it's like when I'm interested in something, I go really deep. So every time when I sign something, I always wanted to find a purpose. And it was not about putting ornaments on something. It's like really the core function of a product, or the core form of a product. And the same thing was with the Love Tuner. For us, it was important what this tool can do. And then we just tried it out. We went into many, many schools. We worked with veterans. We started our own foundation. And in these programs, we discovered what this tool really can do. I mean, it was helpful later on that we had like prominent figures in the mindfulness industry that did their own testing. We had science looking at it, what it's doing, what the frequency is doing. We looked underwater, and so we looked under the microscope at water when it's exposed to 520 hertz. So we gathered all this information because there was a little bit of literature out there, and it's not a thing where it's prominent. The FDA will not recommend you 520 hertz. It's still like kind of a pseudoscience, what you want to call it. But if you dig deeper, it's a super dominant healing frequency. And when you understand that we're all frequency and vibration, then this is basically the only way you can literally sustainably and long-term heal humans. So I believe in frequency and sound healing on a higher level. I mean, there's bioresonance machines out there. Since over 100 years, you can really heal people. And this was like the idea. So we had on one hand the product, and on the other hand, we had the mission where we said, listen, we can bring people together, because if you use this kind of frequency, you basically connect on a heart level. So this is not a spiritual part. This is what drives us as a company, what drives us as a foundation, is to bring people together and communities in more loving togetherness. Just like get out of your head, get on your heart level and really learn how to connect, and see the other person as what it really is. And then things change immediately and society can be changed. So this is the two combinations of what it was. First, gathering all the knowledge that we had. Then we got more or less verified by scientists and said, yeah, what you guys finding is completely right. Here's the proof. And then it's the love mission behind it to just make this world, and it sounds very hippie-esque, a better place.
Okay, let's say someone's listening, they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because I'm just imagining the listener going, frequency, like what? How do you explain that in layman's terms? Like when you talk about frequency and the C note, people can kind of go, okay, I kind of get what you're saying, but I really don't it's like talking a foreign language. So how would you explain that, like layman's terms?
We react to negative frequency, and this is what we are aware of. So you get out of the subway, you walk up, and there's a guy with a sledgehammer on the road. You go like, oh my God. So you go into a room, there's a certain people, you have a meeting, and you go like, that's a weird vibe. So what is this? That's all frequency and vibration. Whatever, on the chalkboard in school, this noise that we go, oh my God, all this kind of noises that we know that are super annoying to us, traffic noise, and we don't pay any attention to it. So when something offends us or disrupts our harmony, well, obviously it's a frequency, it's a sound. And then you have an option of a lot of positive sounds, like when you walk through a forest, you hear the birds. You feel the vibration. When you go to the beach, you feel the vibration of the ocean. So everything is sound and frequency. And when you understand this concept that our entire universe is built out of frequency and sounds, I mean, everything started with a big bang. You still can hear it out there. So this is what we need to understand as a human. And why do we react so much to frequency and sound? Because our body is about 75% water. Our blood is 91% water. So everything that comes towards us in a spoken word, in a loud noise, it resonates with us. So our body gets in a certain vibration because we feel the sound coming towards us, or a frequency that we don't even hear, but it still penetrates our body and does something into us. I mean, everybody talks about 5G, and we talk about kids on their tablets and all this stuff, what is so negative, because that's a certain frequency we expose each other. And when we understand that there's negative frequency and that we all resonance in frequency, then you just go, okay, give me a healing frequency. Give me something that makes me feel better. And when you talk to people, when they spend a day in nature, they come back and go, oh, I'm so relaxed. This was amazing. But what was it really? Yes, there was less sound. There was less noise. There was less negative frequency. You have been exposed to positive frequency, and this recharges humans. And this is why the whole tradition of frequency healing or sound healing goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, the Gregorian choir, for example, 600 after Christ, have been chanting exactly on this frequency, on 520 hertz. And back then, they healed entire communities, entire cities, just by people coming to the church and these monks chanting on this note. So we have all this tradition. You go back into ancient Egypt. I mean, they had reportedly even surgery with frequency. You know what I mean? So this knowledge about frequency and vibration have always been there, but we just got so disconnected in our modern world that we don't listen to it anymore. And it doesn't need to be scientifically. It's not about that you understand exactly what a frequency does. It's more about, yeah, I'm frequency and vibration, and when you understand this, then how can I bring my frequency and my inner vibration up? Or how do I lower it? And if you get a little bit more more mindful in life, then you will understand this concept, and you go just like, oh, this was a great day. I feel so good. And then you go back and you look into all these experiences and you go like, that was actually a high vibrational day. And then sometimes you have days where you don't feel that great and you go in there, oh, what happened? You go in there, oh, I was exposed to this stuff and I was sitting in traffic. You know what I mean? It's more the awareness about what we are as a human, that we are vibrating. And when you understand that you vibrate, then it's very clear that frequency and vibration is the keynote to a happier life if you understand how to regulate it.
Okay, let's talk about energy. I love Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor's work, she wrote My Stroke of Insight. Have you heard of her book? Been around a long time. Okay, so she had this stroke and then realized everybody coming into the room was bringing energy. And that was impacting her ability to heal and connect with that person that was coming into the room. So how would someone's energy be connected to frequency? So if someone's bringing, let's say, a chaotic energy, okay, to the room and they're like, oh, and they're all stressed out and you're like, whoa, and you can feel that. How does that connect to frequency, vibration? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, every state of mind that we have and every emotion has a certain frequency. So this is why when we talk about the love frequency, it's one of the highest frequencies out there. When we talk about anger, jealousy, chaos, for example, all this stuff, confusion, that's on a very low scale of frequency. And this is what you feel, and sometimes you meet someone and you go like, wow, it gives me good vibes. I don't even know this person. And this is why, because the person probably is vibrating on a higher frequency. And that's how simple as it is, and this is why we need to be so careful to how we manage our vibrations, how we take care or how we protect each other or oneself from bad vibes, and how can we regulate it? Because you cannot stay at home and meditate all day. That's not our life. You need to be out there. You have people that, that upset you. You have people that make you happy. You have these and that experiences. But still, at the end of the day, you are with yourself. And when you come to the point when you're with yourself, you can regulate it. You can go like, oh, wow, I need a little tune up. And whatever your spiritual hygiene is, if you meditate or if you pray, or if you just take a moment in silence, or you use a tool like a love tuner, it doesn't matter, but it comes to deregulating, you know what I mean? Where you go into, okay, I'm totally fine with all what our new society, our modern society brings, but I know how to go against it, how to heal myself. And that's basically what it is. So, and sometimes it's like native cultures, for example, they have a way better understanding about humming, playing together. The Aborigines with their didgeridoo, they have been super advanced in sound healing. And I have an example. I had a grandma back in Europe and she got like really, really old. And she told me two things when I was a little kid. First thing, she said, take a breath when a kid is upset. And the second thing is, she was like literally holding all of her children and humming, like she put you up and you're like 4 or 5 years old, puts you up and she was humming. And what this does is it brings a human right away in a state of relaxation. And this is beyond the spoken word. You can go to your therapist, you can talk to your best friend about how upsetting your day was. What you basically do is you're reinforcing your bad memories or your state of mind. But when you go in there and you see it from a vibrational point of view, then you go like, hey, listen, I'm like a piano, a little bit out of tune today. Let's tune up a little bit. Let's get into balance. And when you understand this concept, then you can take care about yourself. Whatever your modality is, you can recharge and you can retune yourself. And the problem is when people are out of tune, then one program takes over, and this is always fear. And everything what is fear-based is just like you basically are paralyzing yourself. And the next step is you get into a state of anxiety. When you don't take care about the anxiety, you end up in a panic mode. And this is just how we are wired, because we are still wired like back in the Stone Age. We have a flight and fight mode. And this is what you can interrupt with a tool like the love tuner. When every time something comes up, you feel like a little bit anxiety, you don't even know where it's coming from. And then you take this tool, you do a conscious breathing break, you connect to a healing frequency, and it will lower your anxiety immediately. And so this is like the basic understanding. If you have any other modality, you do like whatever, an ancient breathwork pattern, whatever floats your boat to help you to get out of this state before anxiety takes over. And when you have this understanding as a human, then it's very simple to counteract.
So let's say you're out in public and you're like, okay, I need to take a reset. I'm going to use my love tuner, but it does make sound, right?
Yeah.
So how do you approach that?
It's not loud. I mean, I can demonstrate it here real quick. I don't know if Zoom is picking it up. I don't know if you hear it.
Yeah, Zoom isn't picking it up.
So you don't play it like a whistle. It's a very subtle tone, and it's not an offending tone. It's not that you play a whistle, basically. It's very calm. I mean, I do it even in an airplane because it's so calm. I mean, I don't have like real flight anxiety, but it's nothing that makes me happy to sit in there. And before I feel in any way like whatever, not super happy or like uncomfy, I take the tune, I do 3 cycles. And I mean, obviously you don't tune in the ear of your neighbor that is sitting next to you, but nobody is offended. Like it's something what you can really do. And I remember when we came up with this tool and we had the first prototype, we have been standing on the beach, bigger group, and we're all tuning together. And some people walked by and went like, what are those people doing? I mean, meanwhile, there's so much consciousness out about it. The product is out since a while now. And one of the people said, listen, think back in the 60s. Can you imagine somebody was just running down the beach? Everybody was saying, where are the cops? What is he running away from? But this was just like what we call now jogging. It always depends, like human consciousness changes. Human habits are changing. And this is something, the last thing I would worry about is if I feel like I need to tune, I don't worry about anybody on the road, like saying, what is this person doing? Because if you know how well it does you and how well it serves you, it doesn't matter. And you should not think too much about what other people think in the first place.
How do you help people with that? Because so many people do get in their heads. Like this is the whole point, is to get out of your head. You said it at the beginning, in your kind of spirit, your heart, your body, your energy, your frequency, however you want to frame that. How do you get out of your head and not worry about what people think? I think it's an epidemic. Everybody, for the most part, we're human beings in this world. I mean, we're spiritual beings, but we're humans. And we worry about what other people think of us.
This is also a product, I think, a little bit from social media because everybody's so exposed. But in general, it's the hardest thing is to change things by looking inward. It's easy to look outside and, playing this and that and, and think about your outside reputation. But the real journey on a spiritual level is basically, as Carl Jung said, when you look on the outside, you're a dreamer. When you go inside, you awaken. And this is just a step. The further you go really into recognizing who you are, the less you will recognize. It happens like simultaneously. So all the blah, blah, blah on the outside, like literally, it's like shaking it off from a wet dog. It just flies off. This is actually the process where we all should go. Obviously, when you're a young person and you're so dependent in high school and whatnot, what other people think about you, yeah, you cannot expect this person to be on the same level than whatever 10, 20, 30 years later. But at one point on your journey in life, you need to be so self-empowered and so self-confident that you do not need validation from outside. I mean, like the attention that we are seeking. Obviously, we want to be validated by our job and the money we make. We love the validation from our family. But what somebody really thinks about you is not relevant. And the next thing is, not everybody will love you. There's like this saying about 30 people, they love you no matter what you do. 30 people, they hate you no matter what you do. And then it's this in-between mass that swings back and forth. And if you get to this realization, then you have a pretty relaxed life.
I think it's one of the things a lot of clients come in with. They don't want to say anything to the person they care about because they're afraid of hurting them, or they really struggle with kind of looking inward. But more importantly, like they struggle with, I am so afraid to show up authentically because what if they don't like me? What if they abandon me, reject me? the list don't love me. And I feel a lot of the belief is I'm unlovable that
Yeah.
clients come in with. I'm unlovable. I think it's a major issue for many people or challenge.
It absolutely is. This is why it all goes back to self-empowerment. But self-empowerment can only happen if you're really authentic, because we talked earlier about what is the highest vibration out there. Yeah, love frequency it is. But if you're not authentic, so authenticity is literally the way to wholeness. There's nothing around. If you're not authentic to yourself, you can go from one guru to the other. You can do all the retreats in the world. You can read all the books. But if you're not authentic, this is like the plane cannot land, the plane that makes you happy. You know, this is like an airport that would move around and the plane has to look for it. It's exactly that's what it's doing. Authenticity is the most important thing. And authenticity also requires you to have very healthy boundaries. And with boundaries, there's a simple concept. Your freedom ends where my freedom begins, and the other way around. And if we live by this, then you can address something that upsets you. And I think it's way better to address something at the right time than to swallow it down. And we all have done it. We all go like, that's not worth it. That's not worth mentioning it. And then it piles up and it piles up. And suddenly you build an animosity against somebody that is just probably not even aware what he's doing or she's doing. And this is like our own thing. But if we go like, oh, wow, I don't like this, and you find a way to communicate this because it's like literally overstepping boundaries, then you are way better off. And I think authentic communication and really addressing stuff is the most important thing. And this starts in the family, this starts in relations, goes all the way into our society. And what you will learn is if somebody is so offended by an authentic communication, then this is the last person you have to worry about, because there's no meaning for this person to be in your life. You know what I mean? It's like, check the box, not interesting. But everybody who is serious and is meant to be in your life, and and you have good vibes together, this person can absolutely have an authentic communication.
Yeah. And I think it's essential for connection. I don't think without being authentic and having authentic communication, there really isn't genuine connection or deep connection.
Yeah. And I mean, and this is like when we talk again about the frequency and the love tune. I mean, when you have an argument with your partner or with whomever, the main thing is we want to bring something over. We have something that we want to get rid of. And the other person sees it completely different and whatnot. And what I have seen, and this is what I do, there's a lot of like one-on-one coaching with tuning. And I always tell people, are you arguing about the argument's sake, or do you have to really something to say? And often I tell people, just take a love tuner, sit next to each other, tune to each other, connect in this frequency carpet. And if there's really something left after 5 minutes tuning that is so important to fight about it, then this tool is not working, but I know it's working. And I hear this often from people like, well, yeah, actually not necessary, because you know that you actually connect. It's just like the different experiences you have, the different points of view you're coming from. But when people connect on a sound carpet, like this 520 hertz frequency, for example, it opens your heart. And most of our arguments are definitely not on a heart level. So when you are able to create heart coherence, what you do with the love tuner, with this breath work, connecting to sound, you get out of your head, you go on a heart level. And on a heart level, we are all connected. This is not even spirituality. This is physics. Our heart magnetic field is like 1,000 times stronger than our magnetic field of the brain. And on a heart level, we are super curious. So when hearts meet, they want to connect. This is just our human nature. We want to connect. And if we understand this, to access our heart field, then we will have completely different experiences. And you have better experiences with your partner. You have better experiences in your family. And when children learn, and they have no filters. They go right there. So this is like, we always think as an adult, we need to explain something to children. No, it's completely the other way around. And I have seen this when we started with Love Tuner, because I was designing a lot of stuff before. I was doing a lot of things, and people don't give you a real feedback. They go like, yeah, super nice. And some people go, oh, is he crazy? Whatever it is. So we went into elementary schools, and mainly kids between 8 and 10 years. And we started these mindfulness moments. And it was like 10 minutes of tuning. And then the kids talked about stuff, what is relevant to them. And we introduced this in a handful of schools. to start with. And then we have been just basically collecting reactions. And the first time we walked in, 40 kids on the floor, we put the love tuners out. And it could have also been that kids go like, oh, what's that? I don't want to do it. But it happened luckily in a way that they have been totally into it. The kids tuned, and within one semester, not within a year, it was one semester, we eliminated bullying, all the classes where love tuner was used. We got better grades, and the kids got a better sense of community. And this was for me like absolutely mind blowing. And there you see how kids, like especially in this age, when they are way more open, they have way less layers that we have, and they connect immediately on a heart level. So the messages that we have from kids written and what teachers told us, it was just mind blowing. This was like literally what encouraged us to push this company and this mission further and further, because it was so powerful. The first reaction, the first 1 or 2 years, and we tuned with thousands of kids.
That's amazing. I also think you're kind of regulating. You're getting into self-regulate. You're getting into your regulated self, which then opens up the nervous system to not feel so in that fight, flight, or freeze or fawn mode. You feel safe enough to kind of connect on that frequency. A couple questions. One is, what books have changed your life? Like if you picked one book, 1 or 2 books that really helped you grow, evolve, spoke to you, what would they be?
I get this asked a lot, and there's not one book out there. What is like a new book? I read a lot of like ancient texts. So I'm very into Egyptian stuff. I'm very interested in all the things that has to do with sound healing and the knowledge, what is hidden in Egypt. So this is one thing, but I had one specific book, and this was the original Kabbalah. And I was reading this when I was like very, very young, like I think was 18. And this gave me a total different aspect, because I was raised Catholic back in Europe. Lucky my parents have not been forcing me to go to church, but we have been a kind of a spiritual family. So there was always an understanding about God, obviously. But Kabbalah was the first time where it opened up something in me, like the different ways to access spirituality.
I love that. This has been a fascinating conversation. Where can people find the Love Tuner? How do they find out more information about you and what you're doing?
So we sell online on our homepage. That's the best. It's lovetuner.com. So the product comes like, you have seen it in a little gift box. It comes with a leaflet. And I mean, it's not expensive. It's like real an investment where you can have your best friend right around your neck. And every time something comes up, and it's instantly available. That's the main thing. You don't have to stop and go into a meditation state of mind. You can do it anywhere, anytime. And I also wrote a book about frequency and vibration and spiritual laws. It's called One Journey, and it's available on Amazon.
I love that. Thank you so much for the work you're doing in the world, for your time, your heart, and your energy. I am grateful, and being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the Close the Chapter podcast. My hope is that you took home some actionable steps, along with motivation, inspiration, and hope for making sustainable change in your life. If you enjoyed this episode, click the subscribe button to be sure to get the updated episodes every week, and share with a friend or a family member. For more information about how to get connected, visit Kristen, Kristen, Boyce, BOICE.com. Thanks, and have a great day.